All right. What I'm saying in a sense is that over the past couple of months, we have done some really interesting topics, and they are also valuable. Actually, by the time we got to December and I look back at the things that we have done, and I told myself that sincerely we have done really well. And it is not about giving ourselves a pass mark, but I can tell you that in 6 months, if you were able to learn things that we have learned, you should pat yourself in the back. You have done really well. Like we did three major things. We did an introduction into introduction to computing, some of those things, then which gave us an understanding about how computer works. Then we did HTML and CSS, which is also one of the bedrock of programming. And we are now doing data analysis with Python. We've installed some of the most complex tools that that programmers have to deal with. And now we are, I believe, really, really well. Actually, if we sit down on those three things and we consolidate on them, I would say that you are already on your way to doing really well. I can tell you, knowing HTML and CSS alone, with just the knowledge of HTML and CSS, there are some people that is what they are living on today. HTML and CSS. The same data analysis with Python. If that is all you know, just data analysis with Python, if that is all you know, sincerely, if you want to make a million before December this year, if you want to be a millionaire before December, if you consolidate on that skill alone, you can make it happen. That I can assure you. Okay. So what do we want to? Which direction do we want to go this year? Because we only have this year and a bit of next year before this program ends. I want us to do more. Not just learning. Some of the things that we have learned, I want us to put it to practice. I want us to at least build a project. I want us to then I want us to get to a place whereby we can begin to use some of these skills to make money. There's no point learning some of these things if you are not able to convert it to naira or whether it's pounds or euro or dollars. Okay. So some of the things that we're going to be doing is going to be focused on entrepreneurship, and let's say you want to get a job, as the case may be. So we are starting that this year. Of course, we're still going to do our start. Learn a lot of more modules and all that, but getting us into learning new modules, I want us to consolidate on the thing we can begin to use those skills to make some real money. Actually, first, okay, the money that we are going to be making may not be huge, just be, but then I believe there's a motivation you get when something begins to convert for us. Also, I want us to be doing this year is there are some trainings that as part of this program that we were not able to start all last year due to a lot of things. Sometimes some of us will come to me like we should not do it here, that they are not, they are not free, blah, blah, blah. But God's grace, this year is the year. I'm actually looking at February to consolidate on all those. At least one of those trainings come up every month, starting from November. I believe part of trying to get us to become a tech giant is knowing how to up our skills and sell the skill one way or the other. So, yeah, somebody saying something. Did I hear somebody say something? Rounding up this so that we can go into what we are going to
I think is Mr. Olume was background.
Oh, okay. Let me just mute everybody. So we're going to go into the task of today. Basically, we're not doing much. We're just going to do some revision of what we've done in the past. Probably do a bit of quiz now. So, but I want you to know that one of the biggest thing that I want us to do in the beginning of this year is to get us to hone the skill that we already have to be able to make it, to be sure that yes, this skill I have is an employable skill. It's a skill that I can employ to get some of the things that I want. So I want to say once again, welcome to the Giant Tech 24. This is the new year 2022, and I want to appreciate everyone that have made it possible for us to still be here. I want to appreciate everyone that joined our classes. I want to appreciate everyone for reading up on some of the tasks. Mr. Ahmed, I want to thank you for always coming to class. Mr. Olabodi, I appreciate that recently you covered up almost all of the lessons that you have missed. That's a good one, and I thank you for joining tonight. And Mr. Olayinka James also for showing up even at odd hours. I know the time difference between Nigeria and where you are is huge. So thanks for always making time to join. Also, Mr. Olumuyiwa Ugulaja, despite your busy schedule, thanks for always engaging in the class and all that. And also, Mr. Pius, I want to say thanks for joining and also following what we're doing. So now I want us to do a bit of revision of some things that we have done. Some of the things that we have done. Yeah. So let me just open it up, and I'm just going to open it up. Remember, we did introduction to computer science. We did introduction to computer science. You're welcome, Mr. Kazim.
Good evening,
sir. Happy New Year to you. Mr. Olabode, you're welcome back. So we're going to do some revision, yeah, I believe revision is something that is important for us to do right now. So remember, we did hardware and software. We did binary and data, all about how computer works. Then understanding applications, apps, what app means and how apps are different from programs. Then we did a bit about cloud computing, then programming languages, what is programming, before we went on HTML lessons, okay? So I'm gonna do one of this. I think I should do this one. Then we're gonna do the HTML, then we're gonna call it a day. Okay, let's do the binary data. So I'm just going to go through those questions to remind us of some of the things that we have learned. and I'm going to ask us the questions, and we will move on from there. So they are simple questions, so they are just to remind us of what we've done before. So what do computers work on? Is it ones and twos? Is it ones and zeros? Is it languages, or is it itself? So I'm gonna call on somebody to answer that. Mr. Ahmed Olatilewa, what do computers work on?
110.
And that's correct. Thank you very much. So does a compiler help make code easier? That's a tricky question. Mr. Olayinka James.
I'll go with yes.
Does compiler make coding easier? Actually, I would say it's a no. Actually, the question is a bit. The question is not a good question, I would say, because. But let me just explain what compiler does. Compiler, a compiler, what helps to translate what you a language, a programming language, to a machine language. So the compiler is what translates what you're writing. When you started programming Python, Python is still similar to English. You're using numbers, you're using different numbers. So there's a compiler in between your programming language and the computer that translates what you're typing into what the computer can understand, which is like the ones and zeros. Okay, so actually they don't make coding easier. They just interface between your programming language and the computer. So let's keep this question. It's not relevant. Let's keep this question not relevant. Does 1 zeros play a big role inside computers? Yeah, we have done that. We've done this. So do people deal with ones and zeros directly? Mr. Pius. Do people deal with ones and zeros directly?
I said no.
Okay. Yeah, and that's correct. It's the computer's job to deal with ones and zeros. We write programming, which is like a weird form of English. So inside a computer, there are, is it strings, is it wires and circuits, is it SIM card, is it data and airtime? Who's gonna answer that? Let me call on Mr. Olumewa. Inside a computer, there are,
question again, sir.
Inside a computer, there are what?
Wires and circuits.
Wires and circuits. That's correct. Thank you. So the last question: how many options can 32 wires give you? That is, you're talking about the data you can store in a 32 bit system. So 32 wires. How many options do you have in a 32 wire?
That should be about 4 billion.
All right, I'm back. I think my connection, I lost connection for a moment. The last question was to Mr. Kazim. Did you get the question? 32 wires can give you how many options?
4 billion. 4 billion.
Billion. Oh, that's correct. That is correct. So that is a bit about binary and data. And we've done this. If we understand how computer works, working with working with programming or working in any field in computer science could now be easier. So I was going to check out questions on HTML, but I would rather not talk about that yet. I would leave it till the next class because we're going to do HTML extensively in our next class. And before we start building a project on HTML, so let me just work with the hardware and software. So these questions are really simple questions for some of us, but then they are going to remind us about some of the things. What is the software? These ones, I'm going to answer these questions at the same time, right? What is the software? They are software actually things that you do not see that runs within the computer. This is like when they say computer is an electronic device that processes data, software, that thing that processes the data using the central processing unit, the CPU of the computer. Okay, so the answer is the things we can't see. Then the question is, what does CPU stand for? Central processing unit. That is what CPU stands for. Then what makes the hardware and the software special? Actually, it is you, the person that will write the code is the one that makes the hardware and the software special. So you are the one that makes it run. The computer cannot work by itself. It is a human being that makes the computer, work through, by programming it or using it to do what you want to do. I'm gonna skip this question. I'll skip this one. I'll skip this one. Skip this one. We've answered this. All right, the parts of the computer hardware, you can classify a computer part into hardware and software. The hardwares are the parts you can see: the screen, the keyboards, the mouse, the processing, and every other. Software are the internal, the things you cannot see, you cannot touch, that is in the computer. They are like data that is inside of the computer, that is all those wires, circuits, and all, right? So the computer contains two parts, right? Then, yeah, we've answered this one. Okay, so that is a set of instructions that enable interaction between all the physical components. That is, what do we think the answer to this question is? Mr. Ahmed, what is the set of instructions that enable interaction between all the physical components of the computer?
What was the question, sir?
What is a set of instructions that enables interaction between all the physical components of the computer?
Software.
That's correct. That is correct.
Sorry, I'm mute. I'm just talking the whole time. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay. That's fine. So all the following are examples of software except a video, a game, an OS, application. Which one is a software? Which one is not a software here? Mr. Olayinka James.
A video.
Yeah, video is not software. So CPU performs the following functions except, I think it's, CPU stores, CPU process, CPU outputs. I don't know anything about shortcuts, so shortcut will be the answer. Then what are the parts of the computer? We've done that. So what does circuits do to calculate, to send and receive information across different parts of the computer, to control software, to end hardware. So Mr. Olumuyiwa, what would be the answer to this question? What does circuits do?
What does circuit do? Use send and receive information across different parts of the computer.
That's correct. The circuits is how information information that is transported from one place to the other within the CPU. So what is a central processing unit? Mr. Olabode, what is a central processing unit? Well, I don't know if you're talking, but we can't hear you. Can you help out, Mr. Olayinka James?
I think the master chips that control the other part of the computer.
That is correct. Thank you.
The master chip that controls. Sorry, I think the network is escaping.
Okay. What is an operating system? Mr.
Well, do you direct it to someone or anyone can answer this?
Okay, anyone, go ahead and answer.
It's the master program that manages how
Manage the
software uses the hardware of the computer.
And that is correct. What is a software? I believe we answered this. It's a part of the computer that's not seen. Then this one, we've answered this. Which of this is not one of the functions of an operating system? Now, which one is not a function of an operating system? Who is going to answer that? I need somebody to answer that quickly. Hello?
Decide when a program can access the computer input and output.
This is a bit tricky, but I think I'll go to option B.
Okay. Which of these is not one of the functions of operating system? Decides when a program is run on the CPU. Decide when a program can access computers input and output. Let users install new programs. Control some of the other software on the computer. Yes, this is the right option.
Sorry, I said I think I will go for A.
Okay, you want to go for A. Decide when why, do you think an operating system, it does not decide when a program is run on the CPU? Mr. Olumuyiwa.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I muted my mic. Sorry. Yeah, decides when a program is run on the CPU. I think in the most cases, it's the human way that decide this aspect of a program being used on the computer. But if you look at that option B, decides when a program can access the computer's inputs and outputs. That has to do with BIOS, basic inputs and outputs system on the computer. And I believe that the operating system has a lot to do with this, like a kind of bus conductor controlling activities in the central processing unit. So, and all the programs, whenever you choose to use them, will definitely be making use of one of the input or output devices connected to the system. And because you may want to decide to use several programs at the same time, the operating system is like the bus conductor that's conduct, or like the traffic warden that controls the traffic and decides when each one access the input and output. Then let users install new program. Yes, because if the operating system is not compatible with some programs, it will not be installed. So it has a deciding factor on that too. Then control some of the other software in the computer, yes, like drivers and utility softwares and the likes. So I think it's quite dicey, but the one that can still be close to human controlling, not operating, is decides when a program is run on the CPU.
You are right. The question is a bit tricky. It's in the sense that it's if you look at it very well, you may not find. You will just find what seems to be like the closest answer. Okay, and I'll tell you why that first answer, that number one option, is not supposed to be the option to choose. I don't know remember when you're watching this video, it was explained why an operating system was needed in the first place. Okay, that when you talk about the CPU, right, the CPU switches on and off, right?
Yes.
It contains circuits, wire circuit that switch on and off to determine whether something is true or false. That is what the CPU does. Now, the CPU, also explain that the CPU can only do one process at a time. Is that not correct?
Yes.
So if it is doing one process at a time, that means you can only run one program at a time. As I'm talking to you right now, I have Zoom running, I have WhatsApp running, I have Visual Studio Code, I have like 10 programs open, not to talk of other background processes running on the computer. Okay. So if the CPU can only do one at a time, but I'm doing a lot of things at a time, of course, I'm the user. I can switch from one system to the other, but actually the Zoom that I'm on right now is using the CPU. The browser that I'm on right now is using the CPU, right?
Yes.
WhatsApp I have is using CPU. Everything on my computer right now is using the CPU, right? What do you think is determining when the program accesses the CPU and when not, they don't access the CPU?
Of course, the operating system.
Yes, so now look at the first option.
That's why I said it's like a traffic warden.
Yes, it decides when a program is run on the CPU. So that is actually why I thought the first option is, that is actually the most significant work of the operating system to make it seem as if the computer is multitasking.
Yeah.
That's the most important work of the operating system. It seems like as if you are doing a lot of things at a time, but you are not. It's actually you're doing one thing at a time, but it's the operating system that is doing the background work, doing the, making sure, okay, do this task now, do this one now, do this one. Everything is happening within a microsecond. So it seems as if the computer is doing a lot of things. So that is why I would not pick the first option. And then the second option, can access the computer input and output. Actually, I think that particular part is why it is true that the operating system it is actually the program that determines whether it wants to access the input and output. It is not the operating system. And more than one program can be accessing the same input or the output at the same time. As of right now, I have the browser on my screen. I also have the Zoom on my screen. There's another part of my screen where notifications show. Of course, the operating system is the one doing all those things, but then the program also decides. The program also does, decide. So that is why that is my own option.
I think I agree now. I agree.
Yeah, so let's move forward. Like you said, it's actually a very tricky question. But if this was a jam question, they would say choose the option closest, that is closest. So they know that there might be two answers there. But which one is the rightest answer among all the right answers? So this is more like that kind of question. So which of this is not a computer hardware? I believe beaker. I don't know what a beaker is, but I know I don't know what a beaker is, and I don't know a plug too. It may be an hardware anyway for the computer. Circuit screens, yeah. So I think we've answered this as well. I believe we have done the bit of revision that we are supposed to do, so that we don't elongate the class for those that would come back later to watch. And also we have just a few minutes before 9. So remember, I said that we are going to be doing projects. So I expect us to, be ready to get our hands dirty on some of the things that we have done in the past. So we are going to be working interchangeably within some of the things that we have done in the past. So I'll pick a lesson and then I'm going to give us a project to do. So we might need to go back to that lesson and, learn it again so that our brain will be fresh. But the most important thing that I want you to understand is that the more you do, the more you know. Okay, and I am confident that the things that we have already are good enough for us. Of course, we are still going to learn more over the next couple of months, right? But I want us to consolidate on the things that we have learned so far. Okay, so the especially some of the things here, our computing as well. We've done the bit of fun that we have started. Okay, so it's back to watch some of the videos. Sometimes I might give us assignments I might send us challenges, but just know that we want to consolidate on the things that we have learned, and as well, we are also going to kickstart some of the trainings on sales, trainings on content development that we have planned out. Um, uh, but that is definitely not coming up this month. Or we're going to expand on it starting by February. So I want to once again welcome you to the new year 2022. I want to say thank you for still being in this class. This class, the value of this class lies on you. And I want to say that I value your contribution. I value you coming here. And I cannot wait for you to begin to do great things with the projects that we are going to embark on this year. So I want to say thanks so much for joining tonight. I'll be ending the class the meeting any moment from now. So does anyone have anything to say before we go? Okay. All right. So
Yes.
Yes.
all right. You have something to say? Okay. Go on.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned it earlier. It's just about the project because I was just about to say it would be nice if you can engage us. So it won't be just like listening to the live class and doing assignment. So if there can be something that can also keep us busy, not just the assignment, and engage us in doing something that might want to encourage us to come to the class too, and applying it to our physical, our daily lifestyle, and which is just about the project.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right. Projects are a good way to start, but we are not going to end it there. There are opportunities that come that I'm going to expose us to. Like I said, just this December, somebody is asking me to give in somebody to do data science, and this is not something that is this is not something that we this is not something that you would just be doing. This is something that this is a real life project that works on. Also, somebody still sent me a message yesterday, sent me a brief about some things that I believe that some of you can still do that we can engage on. So there's a lot of things that I believe we would do together in the next couple of weeks and months. And if you have any suggestions as well, please talk to me. You can talk to me on my DM, so that we can make it a very great experience for everyone. So, anyone have anything else to say before we call it tonight?
Yes. So are we going to be? I'm sorry, I don't know. Are we going to be touching anything on?
Don't be sorry, please. Speak.
Going to be touching anything as having to do with product design for someone like me that is a design person, more like this.
Yeah, actually, we will touch on it. And I want you to remind me. Actually, before the end of this program, we will touch on product design. I can assure you on that. But to expedite the time that we are going to do it, I can say you keep giving me a reminder. It's part of the the programs that we want to touch
on. I just want to share this real quick. I'm sorry.
Please go on.
Okay. Just this is for my colleagues. I would employ us to engage ourselves. Like, for example, my brother is an engineer and is a builder. So what I did for him, I called him and I told him, like, what are the challenges you are facing in your work? So he told me, I asked him some series of questions and he told me, like, if he wants to build, you have to write 12 bags of cement, this one. So what I did for him was I used, due to the previous knowledge, I used Python to compile all his materials, everything for him. And I was able to help him solve some kind of problem. So whenever he wants to build whenever he has a new project, the Python I used, the programming I used for him makes it easier for him to just input whatever material he wants to use, just to make the job kind of easier for him. So I want to implore us to just engage ourselves. Maybe you have some shops in your area, just walk up to them, help them, use your programming skills, just compile that stuff for them. I think with that, it will also engage us to practice more and more.
Yeah, that's a very, thank you so much for that. So,
Hello, Mr. L.
Yeah, please go on.
Okay. Yeah, I have a request, although it's come from my listeners. The last topic you posted, the Libs Generator.
Yes.
Can we go over it again when we are free?
Okay. Please, but you are going to have to remind me.
Okay, no problem.
Now, but please remind me that by the time we are, because we are coming back to Python.
Okay.
We are coming back to Python. Okay, and what we are doing now is we're going to be doing exercises. If you have
no problem.
Anything, I'm just going to throw a video at you to go and learn it.
Okay.
Then do exercises and projects. That is what I want to dedicate. I want us to dedicate our time to do now. We're going to be doing exercises, practical, okay, so that by the time you get your hands on some of the challenges, like the Lib, like you're trying to do the other time as well. Those will help you to sharpen your programming skills. So just please just remind me by the time we come back to Python, let us be able to just remind me so that we can take those ones again. But similar exercises are things that we're going to do.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
All right. So anyone have anything else to say before we call it tonight? Okay, I want to appreciate everyone for joining tonight. It's been a very, very great evening and a good way to start the year. I hope that if this project forms a part of your New Year resolution, I want you to know that we are here to support you to make sure that you achieve the things that you want to achieve with it. And by the end of this year, I hope that I want to have testimonies of some of us here that have earned, even if there's one kobo, from some of the things that you have, gained from here. Okay. So thank you so much for joining tonight, and I will see you in our next class.
Sorry, when is our next class?
It's on Friday.
Okay.